Laka! It is the BFIT Podcast. My name is Thabiso Khambule, the Fresh Prince of Radio. And today, I get to be interviewed by the one and only Bernato. Yes, Mr. BFIT himself. We get deep. We get really, really deep. We discuss a few things. And the Laka thing about this podcast is there's a part 2 coming. So you can imagine how heated this one is. Let's get into it.
It's okay. Welcome to the BFIT Podcast. We've got a very special guest here today, our own presenter. But today the roles have changed, and I am interviewing him as he's also a BFIT athlete and also someone that really puts his health as a priority and his fitness and wellness. But welcome, Thabiso.
Thank you very much. It does, I must say, it feels odd. It feels so odd. But yeah, let's do this.
Oh, it's like, it just feels weird. It feels weird. I don't want to do this. Well, I think you're always the one interviewing, so many people and different kinds of people.
Yeah.
I've been following you for a very long time, whether it be on back in the day on social media and lately, on the radio and also on your WhatsApp stories. You've been giving us a lot of information there and what you've been busy with. But I think something that's really intrigued me about it is, and I think how I'm going to formulate my questions, is you work with a lot of different kinds of people. In the entertainment industry, in sports, in music, which sort of falls part of the entertainment, but in a sense also artistic people, analytical people, CEOs, DJs, producers, actors, singers, you name it, right? And one thing I've come across, and I think I'm just going to jump into it immediately. We'll get a bit more into the personal stuff, but I think a nice opening question, which will open up the floor, is we live in a era where every person sort of like has the answer.
I hear you. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And especially when it comes to successful people, because you do interview a lot of super successful people. I would call them hyper successful people. And every person has their way or their thing. And I think also as a person being inquisitive as yourself and what you should be, because you that's what you do. You're a person that interviews, you're on the radio. You need to be able to ask good questions.
Yeah.
But I think the question would be, how do you as Thabiso gather what is useful and disregard what is not? Because if you consume such good information, I think sometimes it can, well, from my perspective, but I think sometimes, and also a question, does it sometimes feel a little bit overwhelming to know what to take and what to let go, and how do you control that? I think that's the full question. Is it sometimes overwhelming, and how do you control what you take in and what you disregard?
It is. It's extremely overwhelming. It's like literally info overload. But I think one thing that I've literally seen, that everybody's advice, and it's literally like the word also says, there's nothing new under the sun. There's nothing new under the sun. Everybody's advice that you get, and everybody's words and words of wisdom that you get, if you literally go back into the Bible, you'll find that answer there. I promise you, each and everything that they've said, you'll find the answer there. And for me, that's how literally I filter out what I should take in and what I should leave. When I do research about people, and also in such a spontaneous moment as this, there's always times that me and you also, we chat, and I walk out of here and I'm like, man, that hit hard. And in a good way, that hit hard in a good way, because I'm going out of here, I'm feeling filled, I'm feeling that, you've added onto my life, and you've added positively into my life as well, which for me is Superman. And then literally it would happen that I sit down with a word the next morning and I'm like, flip, this is actually what Bernato was saying. So it's I think for me, that is literally how I filter out what is for me, what is like personal word for me. They call it Rhema word as well. What is personal word for me, and what is I guess stuff that most probably I should have just heard in the moment, and that it should go by, or maybe that I've heard that I should maybe even pass on to someone else. But yeah, good question. It does get a lot, because there's this, I have to do research about a different person each and every week, and I have to try and remember as well, because I love being personal. Like whoever I interview should feel that I made an effort and I'm interested in you as a person. It's not about me, it's about you as a person. Let's unpack who you are, let's unpack where you come from, and let's unpack the wisdom that life has basically can I say imparted into your life that you would like to share to the world.
I see. I like that. You try and keep your, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you try and keep yourself as open as possible.
100%.
And
100%.
you sort of like don't take it as face value, you take it as where does it come from, so that you sort of get a better perspective.
Exactly. And where is it taking me to also?
Okay, fair. Yo, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one. Because I think if you didn't have a way of doing that, it would sort of like scramble you a bit.
100%.
And I think you've had, this is also yet just another question, but I think you've also had times, or you must tell me if you've had times or periods where, you know, it sort of got you flustered. You know, it sort of got you all over the show and searching for answers. But I think the answer you gave was, you know, pretty valid. I mean, go back to the word.
Yeah.
Go back to the word.
Literally, it'll be like confirmation for you, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was there periods in your life where you felt that it did get you confused? You know, speaking to so many different people, being inside of the industry, you know, always being on the side that's covering all these things and covering everything that's out there, because that's what you do as a presenter. That's what you do. You present what's going on. Doesn't it sometimes, or has in the past, left you, you know, thinking, you know, damn, what am I missing? What am I not getting? Or
I'm loving your questions, man. Your questions are so deep, because you know what they're doing? They're forcing me also just to go think and to do a bit of introspection. You know, when I was totally confused, and not saying that I'm 100% there yet, right? I was totally confused by a whole lot of information when I was a very insecure person, and when I wasn't as mature as I am now. So, like in my 20s, and let me say in my early 30s as well, even now, like, you're still trying to get yourself, you're still trying to find out who is this Thabiso Khambule, who is this person. So there's a lot of insecurities, and there is a lot of, you're not mature. You literally, it's almost like you get blown by the wind, you know? And I know with age came that wisdom, and there came that surety within myself that, okay, cool, I know what this person is saying, it's not for me. I can already tell that that's not for me. Maybe, yes, it goes for them, or whatever the case may be. But I definitely know that it was in my earlier years when I was really insecure, and when I was definitely immature, that I literally got blown with all of the info that I would get, because then I'd be like, yes, ma, what is it? Like, what's the truth, you know? But yeah, with age is a beautiful thing. That's why they say youth is wasted on the young. Age is a beautiful thing.
it is. That's a very good answer. I do appreciate it, and I think it's also difficult for people to, you know, just be honest and admit to what they feel, because also, you know, when you are young, and I mean, I think I'm still there. I'll be young until I'm 60. I don't think. But I think it is that thing, as you say, when the insecurities are up there and you are immature, because I don't think insecurities will ever go away. I think you just learn to realize them, and then you can work on them.
Come on.
Because I think that
100%.
is a big thing. But obviously, as you get older, you do realize more about yourself and learn and understand. But, you know, for a lot of young guys out there, and people that are obviously, the channel is still growing, but there is a lot of sports people and people, my clients, that watch this, and, you know, a lot of youngsters and early 20s, which might think, you know, they don't really know what to go into, or they don't really know what to pursue. And a lot of people see the cameras, the radio, the shows, the DJing and all of that, and they think it's just all fun, because I think they only see the tip, you know, they only see the 5% of you, and that does look fun, you know. And I'm not saying your job is not fun, but it might come across that that's all you do, as to, you know, diving into people's lives, diving into, you know, conversations that are sometimes, you know, not saying it's bad conversations, it's very good conversations, but like you said, it makes you worstel. You know, people don't really see that, because once you're out there, once you've put yourself out there, it's not an easy emotional game.
Yeah.
It might not be the most physically taxing, but we all know that emotions can drain you a lot more
100%.
than actual physical work. And you know, it's nice for me to hear these answers, and I think also for people watching, because then it's a case of, I haven't thought about it like that. You know, we see these people, but we don't know. They also get overloaded. They also have their battles within themselves, and actually more than normal people, because you get everyone's inputs of their mindset.
I love what you said there, because yesterday someone came to me and they were asking me, listen here, you have like a 4-hour show on a Saturday and on a Sunday on Jacaranda FM. What do you do the rest of the time? And I made this example, and this is such a beautiful setting for us actually to be at BFIT, for me to make this example, and you'll understand it very well. There's prep work that your athletes do here that people don't see on the track. And then
Yes.
they literally go spend, let's say, if you are a 100-meter runner, you spend what, plus minus 15 seconds on the track. But the hard work was done in here. I spend 4 hours on a Saturday on the show, but the hard work is done during the week.
Yes.
And that's what people don't see.
People never see that.
People never see that. And then they see the end product, and then they're actually wowed by the end product, but then they forget that in the background, on Monday I was doing research, on Tuesday I was testing out my research, on Wednesday I maybe had a bit of a rest, because you have to work from a place of rest, and then on Thursday I went over my research, and then on a Friday I gave it into my management and we discussed it, and then on a Saturday and a Sunday I execute.
Then you execute, yeah. yes, people will never see the behind the scenes work, yeah. And especially if you are in the limelight or in front of the cameras or behind the microphone, people don't see what goes on behind it.
Yeah.
This is, like I said, my questions come straight from the heart. That's how I do things. I don't really prepare. I'm process driven.
I love it.
So,
I love it.
as you know, but I think just for a little bit of background, you know, this is my second question, or actually not a question. This is more of like an introduction that will lead into questions. But, you know, just give a little bit of background of what it is that you do, because most people do know you only as Thabiso Jacaranda presenter, but there's so much more. Like, I'm just gonna say what I know, and then you chop in. But I know obviously it's emceeing, it's DJing, like actually playing live events, you know, in a sense reporting, and then doing a lot of podcasts. You know, like, just give us a bit more background about what it is all that you do, because there's a lot.
There is a lot, and I don't know. I wanna look at myself as an entrepreneur, because I love job creating. You know, I love the fact that I can hop onto something and I can get 1, 2, 3 people involved, and I can allow for there to be bread put on the table for these people. But yeah, I'm a radio presenter on Jacaranda FM. As you said, I was a reporter first before I became literally a presenter. And I MC, I DJ. I love the financial markets. I love the financial markets. So that's another side hustle that I have of trading Forex. I'm an all-round entrepreneur, so I'm an influencer as well. So if maybe you have a brand and you want it to be out there, I come up with creative ways on how I can put it on social media for people to see and recognize, and for people to maybe, if they're shopping, can try it out. As I said, I'm an all-round entrepreneur. The day before yesterday, I had the opportunity to actually go and speak to a youth group in Rustenburg. And I honestly, I didn't think I was going to enjoy it as much as I did, but I did. I enjoyed it to such an extent. You know when you get like tears of joy?
Yes.
After the event, I went back into my holding room and I couldn't stop crying. I couldn't stop crying. But that was just me being so joyful of this moment that I just had, you know. So, yeah, I'm a speaker. I wouldn't say I'm a motivational speaker. I literally just tell my life story, and I hope it motivates people to.
That's what they all do.
literally-
That's how you do it. No, you are. That's what they do. That's what
Yeah,
they
the
do.
motivational speakers,
that's what
they tell
do.
their story.
They tell their story, and hopefully people get motivated by it. No. You are.
No,
You are
100%.
100%.
100%. And it's quite touching, you know, because I was even showing my wife, I'm getting inundated messages from the youth that was there on how the word touched them, you know. So I guess, yeah, I'm just, all round an entrepreneur.
I love that. I love that. And the entrepreneurial mindset. You know?
Yeah.
You're not boxing yourself in.
100%.
And you also don't want to be labeled as one thing.
100%.
I like that. Now I'm going to ask you a couple of fun questions before we get back. Beautiful. Welcome back, guys. Just a quick break. We were ending off on a little bit of more lighter questions, and I think that will just be easier before we go into the deeper stuff again. But yeah, let's keep it a bit light for a couple of minutes. But I also think people want to know this because, you know, being someone that does so many different things, you know, and it's not like you like everything or that you dislike everything. I don't want to give people the impression that you don't enjoy your life, because, you know, enjoying something and then liking something is not always the same. Like, for example,
things, yes.
You just gave me an example off camera, you know, speaking, or was it on camera? I'm not sure, but the youth group. Speaking about the youth group, you know, you did not like the idea at first, and you did not. What's the right word? You weren't as excited, which means the whole process of it wasn't really a nice situation in the sense of it didn't make you as happy, but the amount of joy that you got afterwards, obviously is amazing.
No, 100%.
So this is a couple of light questions coming, but there might be a lot of deep stuff that come from it. So it's a basic question. What do you it's not that basic. As I said it, I'm like, it's not basic. I don't ask basic questions, but what do you enjoy the most of your work, and what do you enjoy the least? But then in the same breath, what do you like the most and dislike the most? So it's almost like it can go both ways, and if you want to answer it in parables, please do, because it is a question that almost needs that, because some things we don't like, but we get joy from it. And then some things we do like, but it doesn't really give us as much joy. It just gives us comfort.
I think as I said, it's going to be difficult to not get deep.
No, that's why I said simple question, but
deep answer.
It's fine.
Deep answer.
Give it.
So I love everything about my job. Believe it or not, like literally everything. But of course, I'm human, so the body feels it. I was actually sharing with you. This guy is a very close friend of mine, guys. I was sharing with him that I had literally 4 gigs in 48 hours, and the body's depleted at the moment. I can feel that my body's like, dude, you need to rest. But yet I was doing stuff that fuels me. Like I was doing things that like brings pure joy. Like I love it. I can feel that I'm in my purpose. I'm passionate about it. You know, I absolutely loved each and every show that I did. But of course the body feels it, so that's like a bit of a dislike. And one huge dislike is that it keeps me away from my family a lot. So I like in my inside, like every time, you know, sometimes when I'm on stage, I literally go flip. I know that I'm supposed to be here, but I would much rather be with my family. I would much rather spend time with my boy, cuddling with him, watching a movie, or wrestling on the couch, doing stuff like that, you know. But there's also a bigger picture as to, I know that I'm also showing them, in a sense, what it is to be ahead of your home, what it is to be, a king in this world. And that is, I also get home and I tell them that, hey guys, I missed you. It's tough out there. Because I love being vulnerable with my family as well, to that extent, because they should know. I guess just like the kings in the Bible, your King David,
Solomon,
your Jeremiah, your Solomon, they were all like vulnerable, you know. They went into depression. They came out of it. I think that's the bigger lesson, that, you know, yes, you can go into all of this, but there's a way out of it, you know. And I think that is what's probably the likes and the dislikes. And I think when it comes to what I do and my industry, there's a revelation that I got not so long ago, and it hit me, and I'm like, I don't know, Tabs, should you actually say this? Because I thought of making a video about this and actually posting it on social media. But you know, we live in a cancel culture, so they'll cancel you. But I'm going to say this anyway, is that I feel that our industry has been watered down a little bit, in a sense where I did an interview with someone very famous, and this person ended up at the end of the interview praying for our second guest that came into the interview. So everything to that point got broadcasted, but we couldn't broadcast the prayer part, which for me, it's almost, can I say, this industry almost has like ugly double standards, because we don't broadcast the praying part, but we broadcast when we interview someone who is satanic, someone who reads into a board and reads into the future, with the many genders that we have at the moment. We interview those people and that gets broadcasted. But something like a prayer, it's like we have to tiptoe about it or around it and say we have to respect all religions and stuff like that. So there's a part of me that feels that part I don't like. You know, I don't like that I cannot freely really express who I am and my religion and my beliefs, but there is some other, can I say, people and some other
belief systems
and other belief systems that can basically have the platform and say, hey, you go ahead and do this, you know. So for me, that's quite sad. And I know my guest, I ended up asking him, hey man, with so many things going on, with so many beliefs, and with so many genders, why Jesus? Like, why Jesus? And he hit me with such a beautiful, it felt like a Patrick but David answer. And it was like, I would give everything back, all the money, all the glitz, all the glamour, just to have God's favor. If I don't have God's favor, I don't want any of these. And I was on the same tip. I was like 100. Now, to your question a little bit earlier on, that moment was a revelation moment for me, that this is it. This I must take for me. This is me word. That I can lose all of this as long as I don't lose Jesus. That is my heart, like literally my heart. I know when they asked Patrick but David also this answer, he literally started weeping. And I caught it, because there's literally is nothing I'd be able to do without God.
That's amazing, man. Yeah. Like, I enjoyed that answer. I might ask you one or two deeper questions regarding that.
Let's go.
But like we said, we don't want to get cancelled, yeah. But luckily our 50 viewers won't do anything. It's once you get to 50 million, they start shushing you. So we've still got a very long way before that. But I love it. This might be a bit of a tricky question, but yet again, don't see this as me making an assumption. This is purely asking a question.
Yeah.
Seeing that you stated, a lot of times when you speak about God and you speak about Jesus, and you almost, in a way, because the Bible says, serve me in all that you do and seek me in all that you do.
Come on.
Doesn't it play a bit with your heart? This is yet again just going back to your answer. Doesn't it play with your heart and then asking yourself, but am I not currently being restricted to seek and serve him in all that I do? Because you mentioned the industry is, closing that part off, and yes, we have freedom of speech unless you speak about Jesus.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You can speak about anything. You can speak about being trans. You can basically speak about anything, even Satanism. But if you speak about Jesus, people get offended. Doesn't that make you feel that, in a sense, you are not being able to hold on to him?
It's oh man, this guy should interview people more. This guy asks lack of questions. I love it, and I must say, you know what? It actually pushes me more towards God. It's been amazing because I feel restricted. I've been asking God, Dad, help me with creative ways of actually bringing your love across because we don't want to Bible bash. We don't
want to pray for everyone before and after an interview.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You don't want to shove God down.
We're not allowed
throats.
to. That's not our.
The Holy Spirit is gentle. We don't do that. But I've literally, and I love this part because it's almost like a game that I play with God, and then I ask Him, Dad, help me to like do this in such a way that you come through, but it's not overbearing.
I'm not throwing your name out there.
Yes. Exactly like that.
Help them see you through me.
Oh man, it's quite amazing when you do that. He will do the most amazing things. And to my point, actually, the part where I interviewed this very, very, very famous person, the prayer part, I honestly did not plan that. I did not plan that. I literally, I know I prayed a lot about the interview because I was nervous. It's a high profile guest. But the way God came through in that moment, I was like, this couldn't have been me. And He does that each and every time. So for me, it's quite amazing. I get excited when I go into an interview. I'm like, Dad, what you gonna do today? It's so cool. And then I know that it gets me closer and closer to Him, and I get to also seek Him more and go deeper and deeper into Him, because there's quite some moments. I don't know if you felt that as well in your life. There's moments that you see God and you're like, man, where are you? I don't feel you. I don't feel your presence. I just want to feel you, But I think in those times, those are the times that He wants us to press deeper. He wants us to spend more time with Him. He wants us to maybe even pick up the phone and encourage people, because that, I know what gets me out of a depressed mode is every time I feel down, I literally pick up my phone and I'm going to encourage 5 people. I'm literally just going to send them a voice note and say, hey man, how you doing? Hope you're doing good. You're on my heart and I bless you. May everything go well at work. I hope your car's full of fuel. If it's not, here's a 200 rand. Wow. That's literally, and I know that when I'm done doing that, it literally fuels me. And I promise you, each and every time people come back and they tell me that I needed to hear this. So, yeah, sorry, I could know a lang draai gevat
Please
voordat ek
do.
jou antwoord.
I like it like that.
But yeah, man, I think I literally, I don't actually feel restricted, but I feel more to then push deeper into God, to literally press more into God and to allow Him to do the magic.
And that's very biblical, because I read something a couple of weeks ago where, and I can almost testify to it.
Sure.
In difficult times, right, and a lot of trial and tribulation, we tend to stand up for ourselves, especially if we're being accused, especially if we, like this now, the whole question around, people blocking us off or people not allowing us to get through. Not too long ago, I would say maybe two years ago, I've grown a lot in the last 3 years due to struggling times and, fuss bait and all of that, and obviously personal stuff that I went through, which I haven't discussed yet, which maybe later might know, but it's not public information. As you know, I live very privately. But I learned that, and I read it, is you don't have to stand up for yourself.
Come on.
It says that a righteous man does not have to stand up for himself. God will do the work for you.
I'm testament.
Yes,
to that, as you said, yes.
and I can. Now that you said that, I'm like, well, yes, because to keep quiet is sometimes the best response.
Yeah, 100%.
Just keep quiet, and He will make it play out. We don't have to, and I think that's a problem we all do, or we all have. We all make that mistake, is we try and stand up for Him. He's there to stand up for us. And I think that is beautiful for me to hear that you it doesn't almost, it's like that challenges you to, okay, how can this thing play itself out, you know?
Yeah.
Let me sit back, and because what the enemy wants is you to respond. What the enemy wants is for you to throw the Bible, because that will push people away. Because also it says we will not be remembered for what we say or do, but only for who we are. And who we are is not what we do.
Yeah.
Who we are is how we do it. So that's a very, I like that answer. So it's nice. That was a very tricky question, and you answered it. You answered it very well. Because we need to operate in the darkness.
For sure.
And that is operating in the darkness. You know, I feel, and the reason I asked that question is, a lot of times when things, and we'll take a break quickly after this, but last statement or question / statement is, we tend to shy away from things that are uncomfortable, in the sense of testing our faith in our religion, and also, you know, just as human beings, you know, being good to one another. We feel that if they don't think like I do, then I'm not going to be there. I feel in a sense we are also put in that culture of, you know, you are who you surround yourself with, Yes, very true. I think close family, relatives and stuff like that. But that doesn't mean you have to only mission in that.
Yeah.
A mission is never easy. A mission is exactly what it is. It's a mission, because you need to, and that's what they call them, missionaries and stuff like that, because you need to go out there and in the dark. And you are probably, yet again, don't get me cancelled. You are probably you are probably in the entertainment, influencer, presenting, music, events. You are probably staring down the biggest darkness in the world currently, because that's what it is. You're in the media. You're constantly in the media, and the media.
I've got so much to say.
Media, you know, Denzel Washington. We'll take a break after this, or I'll end it. But by like Denzel Washington saying, you know, if you don't read the news, you are uninformed. If you read the news, you are misinformed. And which one is worse for you? And people in today's life, it's not about being true anymore. It's not about being real. It's about being first.
Yeah. Oh.
So we'll get back into that.
Win, no matter what.
I like that one. Welcome back, guys. So getting back into, you know, a little bit of a deep conversation regarding, you know, being the light in the darkness, and not shying away from it. And I think that's also, at the end of the day, that's our purpose. And I think you said it very well. Like the question I asked, obviously, do you feel that's pulling you away? And I think it can, because that's the goal of the enemy. That's the goal.
Is to pull you away.
Is to pull you away. And if you then you might leave that and get to a more comfortable spot, and you see the devil works in deception. So you'll be deceived in thinking, okay, I'm in a better place now because I'm just surrounded by Christians, and I'm just in my Christian environment, and I'm only going to be there and only speak to Christians. But that's not our goal, yeah. To being a disciple is not to you know, make the Christians more Christian.
No,
it's to change people and let them give their hearts to God and Jesus.
I love what you said there, because that's the thing. Like I did not necessarily introspection. It's like such an immediate thing. Like the word also tells us, there's two very important commandments that it tells us basically to love God with our everything, with our mind, with our soul, with our strength. And then the second one is love your neighbor as yourself. So loving my neighbor as myself means that exactly what you said. I wouldn't say people in the darkness, but whoever is out there in the world, my first port of call is to love you. Gay, trans, whoever, my first port of call is to absolutely embrace you, absolutely love you, and everybody will tell you that's the person that I am. I love people. I love people. But to my previous point, I think it gets a bit tricky when the people that I love get to express their beliefs, get to express their views, and get to have freedom of speech, but those people, the very same people that I'm reaching out to, that I'm loving so much, cannot accept my beliefs, cannot accept my freedom of speech, and cannot accept my views of seeing things from a Jesus and a God point of view, or from praying. So it's almost like, why are we in this double standard world? And that's actually a challenge that I'd love to put out there to people, and to whoever most probably doesn't believe in God or doesn't believe in Jesus, is that I love unconditionally. Why can you not do the same when it comes to most probably Christianity? But also to your beautiful word, is that we are meant to go out there, and we are meant to go out there to make a difference. And it's just by being. Yeah, man, you said it so beautifully there. It's literally just by, I don't have to say anything, I don't have to do anything. It's just by being. When I walk into BFIT and I see you, just you saying how are you and embracing me, that is already like, I feel God's love with that. You don't even have to tell me that, hey, I believe in God. I feel God's love in that. And that's just by you being, which is amazing.
Sure. Thanks. I appreciate that. None of us, ne? None of us are perfect, ne?
That is true. I agree.
But going back to what you said, and I think it's very important, we ask ourselves why. And you answered yourself. The question you had for yourself is, why can't everyone else love us and respect us the way we do? But I think, and that's probably the biggest frustration I have, because I'm very naive in thinking everyone thinks like I do. Everyone's loving and caring.
Dude, we're the same. Oh my gosh.
But I think that's the problem with most people that are always light-spirited. I mean, even when you're tired or drained, you always have a light spirit. You always make people laugh. You always like that. That's your thing. You are a breath of fresh air. And I think to answer a lot of people's questions they have for themselves and for you, is that's the whole meaning of unconditional. Like doing without expecting anything back. Ooh, like even if they keep hitting you with the whip, even if they keep doing that, 100%. It's just, that's the whole thing of turning the other cheek. I mean, that's the whole motto of Jesus, But, as you also said, and I think that's one thing I've learned over the years, is the meaning of love. Because yes, we have to love. That's our first commandment. We have to love God, and therefore the rest follow. We have to love our neighbor, etc. But loving someone is not necessarily being nice to someone. And I think that's something that's set in, because as people pleasers, we tend to be nice to people where we can still love them and not be nice to them. Because it says love is kind. Love is kind, firm. It does not envy. It does not boast. And that's something I've been struggling with a lot. And I think this will be the question that I'll ask you next is, can we be a bit firmer in our ways of treating people, but still show a lot of grace and a lot of empathy? Because remember, being nice and being sympathetic is traits of the devil. Being nice is... but being kind can sometimes look like it's good. still embracing, still being, in a sense, loving, but it doesn't necessarily have to be nice. Because niceness and sympathy is something that is almost a set standard as love. If you love me, you'll, or if you love me, it will be like, hello, gaan het? Oh, wow, ek so bly om te sien. Where actually, being kind and being empathetic is the total opposite of niceness and sympathetic.
Love it. Even in the good book, he says he chastises those that he loves. And chastising sometimes means that tough love. But it's quite amazing that I sit with a very bad feeling afterwards, but literally 2 seconds after I've given him a hiding, he comes to sit on my lap. And that for me is love. Ek sê altyd ek moer nie my kinders nie, but I give them a hiding, because I think in total that's what God sometimes does to us as well. After God has given me hidings, guys, like hectic, but I find that loving because it sets me on the right path. And it's exactly like you say, sometimes saying no is actually you loving the person because you know what is best at that point and at that time for them. And that is sometimes what people will see as not kind. And that is what sometimes people will see as he doesn't care about me. But it's actually because you care.
It's because he's kind.
Exactly.
He's firm.
Exactly.
And therefore he's empathetic.
Exactly that, So, and it comes to realness as well. It's like, one thing that B has also told me is that, dude, you moet slaap, you moet water drink, and that stuff, like, I don't like that.
I mean, you like sleep and water.
In my industry, it's like, but it's stuff that he tells me to do because he knows that it's good for my body, even though it's not like who can literally say, I enjoy drinking 2 liters of water each and every day? Because it's a mission to do that, Resting. Ons is besig. Like, we are in, especially this generation. We're a busy generation. So it's hard for us to actually just chill. But you're saying that to me because you care about me.
Yeah.
And because you want to see me in a very healthy, fit state. And I think that sometimes we get it wrong. Even me, like, I get it wrong every time. I'd be, especially coming from my wife, if she tells me something, I'll be like, nah, and you want to fight back, But it's actually, they're saying that because they are maybe even someone external seeing into your life, and they can see that, hey, there's a pattern here that's busy happening that is not cool, and allow me to have input into your life, but positive input because I love you, that will change you for the good. So yeah.
That answer, it was more of a discussion than a question, but I do enjoy the point you're making, and that takes me back to the question, and like I said, it will first be a discussion then a question. The question then would be, do we need to look at the way we behave as Christians regarding loving our fellow neighbor, being in industries and situations and organizations and teams and communities where not everyone is Christian and not everyone respects our ways? Do we need to change the way we do look at love, in the sense, we sometimes do come across nice and we avoid confrontations because you don't want to step on toes, and you want to keep your job, and you want to keep this gig and that gig, where as to just being firm, having a firm hand with these people, especially seeing that you just mentioned it, you give your boy a hiding, but 2 to 5 minutes later or 10 minutes later he's on your lap and he wants to hold on to you. And we see that with all our lives, especially going through tough times. In the tough times, it's like literally being hit. That's the tough times, and you're like, I hate you. But then 2-3 months go by, 2-3 years go by, you're out of that tough time. You look back, you're like, oh my days, look what it created.
Yep.
Like that whole quote of sometimes when you feel you are buried, you've actually been planted. But now yet again, the question, do you think we need to change the way we look at love? As to, it's been thrown at us by Hollywood, true love at first sight,
100%.
love at first sight,
Yeah.
as long as you're happy, happiness over joy, and sympathy over empathy, and niceness over kindness, and you see, nice and kind so close to each other, sympathy, empathy so close to each other
as well.
So, and that's what deception is. Deception is not the polar opposite. Distractions are not the total opposite. Fooling someone, being conniving, like the Bible says, the devil walks around like, not the devil walks around like a roaring lion, So if we miss it by 1%, we still think we're hitting it, but it's not a 180, we think it's black and white. It's not. It's like he deceives us by
just a little bit,
making us believe it's
just
the truth.
No, it's amazing that you say that, because I think we definitely, different situations will have you basically catering for those different situations. Let me say, whatever situation comes in your way, I think, and I believe that the Holy Spirit will actually prep you for that moment. Us being more firm, definitely I do believe that, man. I don't know, like even in myself, I'm not even gonna sit here and be like, I'm this perfect being. There's times that I know that Tabs, you should have that part, you should have had tough love there, and there's parts that I have tough love, and then I walk away and I feel super bad about it. But I know it's like you said, like 2 days later, I'm like, that was the right thing to do.
And they always come back.
So, yeah.
And say thank you.
100%. So, to answer your question, definitely, I believe that as Christians, not even as Christians, I believe that as people, we can definitely act from a point of love and be able to say no to certain things, and be able to say, I don't like this, and to be able to say the word that you also used there, which is a very good and powerful word, to be able to be confrontational and say that, okay, cool, flip, hierdie het nie reg gesit met my nie, or how you spoke to me here wasn't like, or how you did this wasn't good, instead of being afraid, holding it back, and it actually causing issues and bitterness in your heart. The Bible also says it so well, like if you have bitterness in your heart, it's like witchcraft. And I'm like, I'm no witch. So I rather want to sort that out right now, even if it means that it's going to cause a bit of discomfort in this area.
I like that answer.
Yeah.
I like that answer. And it's honest, because we aren't perfect.
Yeah.
No one is. And I think when it comes to us trying to keep peace, you see again the deception. It's like when you keep quiet to keep the peace, is it really peace? Because peace is a wholesome thing, but now you're keeping it inside.
You're so spot on.
And that is not peace.
So
that is
spot on
actually
there.
now creating less peace and more
Yep.
disruption. So, but I like the answers I've been getting, and this is obviously like we said we're going to aim for about 20 episodes. I think we are around about 8 or 9, if I'm not mistaken. So just for obviously how we've structured it, it's happened by accident. It's been, you interviewing me for 2 episodes, and then we got a couple of athletes, and now me interviewing you. I would also ask you, because we only covered about 30%. An hour's gone, our time is up, you need to be somewhere, I need to go work, Katisha needs to get going, so it's all of us, the whole team needs to get going, and I'm really thankful for your guys' patience with us. But can I ask for next week that we sit down for episode 2?
That would be amazing. Anytime.
Part 2.
And my week is actually so free next week. So yes, let's do it.
Please.
Let's do it.
So next week we have part 2.
Nice.
There's about 5 or 6 more questions I'm burning to ask you, and I want to go into these deeper answers through basic questions. And I appreciate your time. Thank you for opening up and, you know, being vulnerable. That's a very big thing. And we said this is what it is, you know, giving people insight into everything we do and why we do it. But I also want to go back next week and touch on, you know, your routines and what's worked for you, what hasn't worked for you.
Nice, I like that.
So that we go into what this is all about, go more into the insights. Now we get a bit of an understanding of who you are, which is nice. Gives an understanding, sort of like touch base. So this is part 1. Next week, part 2, and we'll give people a lot more to think about.
Like a
awesome stuff, guys.
#BFIT Podcast, baby.